Aisha, show them the plants that we just propagated.
We've propagated this one and this one.
And what are they called?
I forgot.
Pothos.
Pothos.
Or golden pothos. And last question, what do you love most about plants?
That you can get to water them.
And what else?
That you can get more plants.
And anything else? That's it? All right. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's Asiyah. This is Asiyah's Plant Life, and I have a special guest for you guys again today, baby girl.
Aisha!
Aisha is here, and she's going to be helping me out today. So let's go ahead and get into this plant propagation. So I get tons of questions about how you can, or how one can become a plant parent, how they can affordably purchase plants and grow their plant collection without having to break the bank. And I'm here to say, if you've been in my description box, you know that I linked to my free manual on how you can easily and affordably grow your at-home plant collection. Well, I'm going to do a video exactly on one of the methods that I talk about in that manual, which is propagation, specifically water propagation. And I'm going to use one of the easiest plants that you can find pretty much everywhere, no matter where you are in the world. This plant is everywhere, and it is the Golden Pothos. Now, I have a multitude of Golden Pothos in my home, but I'm going to be using a few different ones that I have in soil and in water, and that have been placed in different areas in my house to propagate with today. You only need a few supplies in order to do this. This is a great self-care Sunday activity. It's a great way for you to have more plants in your home without having to spend any more money. And that's the best thing about propagation. You spend the money one time, and this plant will keep on giving you and giving you and giving you more green life in your home. So let me show you what you're going to need, and then we're going to get right into it. All right, so this is what I use when I'm going to do a water propagation. Now, again, you guys know I'm thrifty. In last week's video, I splurged on those plants, but my typical get down is reusing things that I already have or finding things inexpensively that I can use to grow my plant collection. So my shears that I've had for about 3 years are tried and true. These two vessels right here, this teal one that you see here, this is actually a candle. This was a candle jar that I've cleaned out and will be using as a vase. This tall glass one here, I purchased from the Dollar Tree. The white stones also came from the Dollar Tree. They have been washed and rinsed several times to get any debris off of them so that they do not affect my plants. And then I have this metal watering can that I got for about $7.99 from Marshall's a few years ago that I absolutely love. The plants that I'm going to be propagating today are all Golden Pothos, and I want to show you guys something. This one right here, this is Tendy. She sits in my bedroom window, which is a east-facing window. And as you can see, you really see some beautiful variegations in these leaves, which Golden Pothos are known for. This beauty right here, along with the two others that I'm going to be propagating from, or three others because there's one other right back there. They all came from the same plant, which is that big mama back there. A few years ago, I was gifted a plant from a friend whose mother was moving into a nursing home, and she had this huge Golden Pothos in, I don't know, maybe a 20 or 25 gallon pot. And you see that paint over there, guys? We're DIYing some things. But they all came from that same mother plant. This is the only one that gets bright and direct sunlight, and it's the only one that you see so much variegation in. The other ones are growing and they're thriving, but they're just basic green. There's not much to the leaves of the plants. Let's get a little closer so you can see this big mama over here. There. There's not much difference in the leaves. So I just wanted to point that out. Pothos are great plants, especially if you have low light in your home, office space, or wherever you're going to be placing your plants, but you will see a difference in those that you put closer to windows that get more of that beautiful light. So this is what I'm going to be using to propagate with today, and let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to propagate some of these plants today. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is determine what parts of my plant I want to clip to use for propagation. Now, I mentioned these plants have all been in different areas of my home, and they have different variegations on them. What I want to do is bring them together into a bouquet in these two vessels and allow them to commingle and just grow and fill in the vessel together. So the first one I'm going to propagate is Tendy. Tendy, as I told you, sits in an east-facing window in my bedroom. This is probably my favorite pothos right now because she's just so beautiful, full, and lush. I've had this a number of years now because, as I mentioned, she was propagated along with some of the others. This part right here that's hanging, I'm going to cut it right at this node. Right in here. Baby girl, get closer in on this so they can see this node. Are you getting closer on it? Okay, this node right here, I'm going to propagate it right at that node. So I'm going to go ahead in with my shears. And I don't need y'all talking about my shears. I've had these for quite some time and they've done me well. So don't y'all start talking about how I need some new shears. These are perfectly fine. So I'm gonna go in right below that node and I'm going to clip the stem off. I'm gonna go and do that with the other plants as well. And I'm going to do all of them before I fill our vessels, which in this case again are a candle holder that I've cleaned that I'm going to reuse, and a vase that I grabbed from the Dollar Tree. So this one is from Tendy. I'm going to go ahead and place her down just here. These here don't have names, but I love them just the same. This one sat in my bedroom, my master bathroom for quite some time. I'm going to propagate this portion here. I'm going to go again right below the node, and that's where I'm going to clip. A nice clean cut, somewhat on an angle, helps them to root better in my experience. So now I have these two beauties right here. Is it on? Okay. So this is another one. This one has sat in my kitchen, in my home in Atlanta for a number of years, and it's still sitting in my kitchen now here in Nashville. And as you can see, it got kind of leggy. This is what leggy looks like on a plant, where you have a long stem with leaves at the end. So what I'm going to do for this one, I'm going to go ahead and cut it again close to where the leaves are, right underneath the node, on an angle. And where I have the stem that has not produced any leaves, I'm going to cut this down close to the base of the plant. Now I can take this and thread both ends into the soil or water and wait for them to produce roots. And at some point it might give me some flowers, some leaves, or I can discard it. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with this part just yet. So for right now, I'm just going to put it down to the side. This one here is also from the same plant that has sat in my kitchen. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to cut it just below the node on an angle, and this is going to go into my new vase to give me a new plant. And we're going to do the same thing here. I know people who love pothos love the fact that they start to trail, and I love that about them too. But for these purposes, I'm propagating because I want to make more plants. These plants are such hardy growers that once you propagate from them, it's only a matter of time before they start to trail again. So I'm not worried about cutting away the branches or the stems that have already started to trail, because they will come back. Just like when you cut your hair, it'll grow back. These come back much in the same way. So I'm going to do the same thing here. Cut below the node on an angle. And I have a few here that I'm going to clip away to propagate. Below the node on an angle. And let's see here. Yep, I think I'm going to do the same thing to this one. So as you guys see, I've clipped away quite a bit of this one, but I'm going to move this one. It's been sitting kind of low to the ground on this crate that's behind me. I'm going to move this one to another one of my bedroom windows, and before you know it, this one will be full and lush and trailing again. The parts of this one where I clipped that are still attached to the plant, I'm going to go ahead and feed those back into the soil so they can grow roots and put out new leaves. And then the last plant that I am going to propagate is Big Mama over here, and I call her Bertha because she is big and full and the name just fits. That one, big girl. You see it? She's big and full and the name just fits. So I'm going to, oh Lord, I'm going to get up off this floor. Little girl, don't you show them me trying to get up off this floor. I promise y'all I'm only 40 something. Okay, all right. So I'm going to go in here. Let's move Tiana out of the way. Tiana's my newest monstera that baby girl actually picked out. And I have this long one here. I'm going to cut this in a couple of different areas for the propagation. This one is a little leggy, so I'm going to clip it right here, and then I'm going to feed this back into the soil. Okay. And then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to clip this one here too. All right, so I'm not going to clip anymore. I've clipped quite a few. Baby girl, show them all the clippings that I've taken right here. Those are all of the clippings. So now that we have our clippings, I'm going to go ahead in and start putting these inside of the new vessels that they're going to go in. Now, what I want to do, and this is not absolutely necessary, you do not have to have something in the bottom of your vessel, in this case a vase and a candle holder, to fill it. I'm not going to put anything into my candle holder because you won't see it. But for aesthetic purposes, I am going to fill the bottom of my vase with some of these white rocks. These serve no purpose other than adding a little bit of style to your propagation vessel, so it's not necessary. If you guys are interested in me doing a video on leca propagation, which is the leca clay balls, please let me know, because I would be happy to do that and explain to you what the benefit is of using those in your plants. I'm just going to add a little bit more to this one.
I think that's too much.
You think so? I don't think so, Figure. I think that's just right. All right, so what I'm going to do now is just arrange these. How do I want them to look? And they don't have to go in any particular way. I'm just taking the clippings and I'm going to arrange them. Big girl, I need you to be showing the plants, not me. Thank you. I'm going to arrange them in the vase, in the candle holder. With the clipped part down, because those are the parts that I want to root. So I want to make sure that they are down in the water. When you have ones that are like this, that are close to the base of where you've taken your clipping from, it's okay to give it a sniff and just add the leaf in as such.
Is there rocks in that one?
No, there's no rocks in this one, big girl. This is just the clippings. And I'm only using 2 vessels here. You can always use as many as you'd like. I took quite a bit of clippings and I decided that I only wanted to use 2 vessels because I wanted my propagation to be full. And because pothos do so well growing in water, I'm probably going to leave these in the water for quite some time. And just go around and pop them in however you would like for them to go in. I have 3 more cuttings here, and I'm going to make sure that I get all of the cut portions down into the vessel so that when I pour the water in, they will be in the water and they will root beautifully. All right, this one is gonna go right in here on the side. And then I have 1 more here. And as you can see, this one, I took the cutting here, but this one has these 4 little leaves down at the end that are going to prevent it from going into the vase and the cut portion touching water. So I'm going to cut these little leaves off right at the base on an angle. And then I'm going to take these 4 and I'm going to pop them right on in my vase here, just like that. Now I'm left with this stem that has the clippings. Along the side, it has some little aerial roots that have come out, and then that's the part where I clipped it from the actual mother plant. I'm going to put that right down into my vase. Don't worry if your stems get a little tangled up as you're placing them down. It's okay. Pothos grow in that way. They like to be a little tangled, a little caught up, mixed up with each other. So this is the one propagation that I'm going to be doing in the vase. And then I'm going to do this one in the candle holder. Now, what my next step is to fill these with water, because remember, this is a water propagation. Some people will use a rooting agent when doing propagations. I've propagated more plants than I can count, and I've never used a rooting agent. I always just use clippings and water, or clippings and soil, and they do just fine. So that's your personal preference if you would like to use a rooting agent. I'm going to fill it and make sure that all of the clipped parts of the plant, so all of my stems that have been clipped, are covered by water. And now I have 2 new beautiful plants that will at some point begin to grow roots, and the roots will look like this. Let me show you guys what they'll look like. When I started this, these were just clippings, and now all of the roots have grown inside of the plant and wrapped around the rocks that I had at the bottom of this one. That will happen with these two as well. So guys, that's it. I've went ahead and done my water propagation, and I'm excited. I have 2 new plants that I can place in different parts of my home, and I haven't spent anything but $2 on the vase and $1 for the rocks, and that is it. The other things I've already had in my home, and the plants I already had. So I've gone from 5 plants that I've used for this propagation to 7 plants in just a matter of moments.